Hello folks, and welcome to the screencast orientation of the final NPAL progress report. My name is Abram Neuser from First Pick, and I'm just going to walk through this progress report with you and give you a little bit more details on some of the responses that we're seeking for this particular report. So for those who might remember, we did a similar report like this midway through the grant year. Once again, it will be a Google form like the one you can see here on your screen. And this will be sent to you via email from Angie Caffey at National PAL. So you'll just follow the link that's provided there, and you can get to the screen to fill out your report. One report is required for each NPAL organization or subgrantee recipient. So make sure that you're completing it once. Once you do complete it, you do not need to complete it again. All right, so let's get started. The first few questions here are pretty straightforward. You're simply going to put in your email address and the name of the person that's actually completing the report. Once from there, you can go down to subgrantee name. This is a drop-down menu that has all of the grantee recipients listed here. So simply find your particular organization and select that. Continuing to go down, you're going into the youth that you serve. So select any of the boxes that apply for your particular grant program. As you can see, you can select multiple boxes, so please do if that applies to your particular program. Continuing on, same kind of thing for the justice population that you're specifically serving. Same thing for gender and geography. And then there's this other category if you're serving any youth in these categories as well. All right, if we keep going, the next question is the number of mentees enrolled at the beginning of the reporting period. So that's July 1st of this year. So if youth missed a few sessions but came back, they should be included in this number. Again, this is the number of mentees that you had enrolled in your program on July 1st of this year. So just as an example, I'm going to put in 10 right here. The next question is number of new mentees that were added during the current reporting period. So that's since July 1st of this year. You can see this goes to the end of the current year through December 31st of 2019. That's because that is the full reporting period. However, most organizations finish before the holiday season kind of starts. So you may be completing this report before the end of December, and that's fine, especially if you've completed programming and you're not going to be running any more programming before December 31st. So again, this is all of the youth that were added to your program since July 1st. So for example, I'm going to put in 15 here. Next question is just number of mentees who have one or more parents actively serving in the military. And then we're going to go into social support. So these next questions are in direct reference to the youth survey that you are required to give out to all the youth participating in your program twice a year. Again, many of you have already seen this survey. It was included as part of the last mid-year report that you completed. So this is what it looks like. You can click it and download it from that link that's provided right there on the report itself. But basically, this is a survey that you will distribute to all of your youth. And it answers just a few questions about the PAL mentoring program. So for this question here, number of mentees exhibiting an improved perception of social support based on the National PAL Youth Survey questions 1 through 5. So if any youth has answered affirmative to questions, to at least 2 of the 5 questions of 1 through 5 on that survey, then they would be counted. So however many youth meet that threshold, that's the answer you would put here. So just as an example, I'm going to put in 20. And you can remember I'm putting in 20. This number has to be in alignment with some of the answers you reported up here. So you can see I had 10 youth enrolled at the beginning of the reporting period back in July, and then 15 that were added at some point during the reporting period for a total of 25. And I'm going to say 20 of them met that threshold of answering at least 2 of the 5 questions as yes. This next question here asks about improved respect for law enforcement during the reporting period, again based on that same youth survey, and it's specifically question 4. So if I take a look at the survey again, question 4 right here, as a result of the PAL mentoring program, do you have a greater respect for law enforcement? And the options of being no, don't know, and yes. So for this particular question, you're going to report however many youth answered yes to that particular question. So for me, I am going to put 18, just as an example here. Again, this would have to be in alignment with the number of mentees that you reported up here. It couldn't be higher than that number for any reason. Continuing on, this next question again references the survey, and specifically question 5, so number of mentees who developed a better understanding of the negative effects of drug use and gang involvement during the reporting period based on the survey. So again, if I flip back to the survey here, question 5, similar question to number 4. As a result of the PAL mentoring program, do you have a better understanding of the negative effects of drug use and gang involvement? So any of the youth that answered yes to this particular question, you would include as your answer here. So I'm, again, for just example, I'm going to put 19 here. And these next few questions are just related to offenses during the reporting period of any of the youth that you're serving and any of the mentees. So arrest or delinquent offense during the reporting period. Again, that's since July 1st through the end of 2019. Number of mentees who recommitted to a juvenile facility during the reporting period, again, since July 1st. Number of mentees who were sentenced to adult prison during this reporting period. Number of mentees who received a different sentence during this reporting period. Now, these next 2 questions have to do with the number of mentees in your program that have met the threshold of completing at least 32 hours of mentoring over the course of the entire mentoring program. So this one here, number of mentees participating in the NPAL mentoring program during this reporting period who have completed at least 32 hours of mentoring in the program. And again, that's over the course of the entire period. So that means that any youth that are included in this response need to have participated in your mentoring program during this reporting period, so since July 1st, but have also completed 32 hours. For most folks that have been in your program for some time, they're going to have met this threshold unless they've, are more recently joined the program for whatever reason. And the next one here is kind of the flip side of that. So the number of mentees participating in the NPAL mentoring program during this reporting period who have completed fewer than 32 hours of mentoring in the program. I should note here that these 2 answers combined should also be the same total that you reported here up near the top for the total number of youth that you were serving in the reporting period. So I had 10 and 15 for a total of 25. So these answers here should also total 25 when you combine them together. So just for an example, I'm going to put in here I'm going to say that my program went pretty well. We had really good attendance. So I'm going to say 24 of those 25 met that threshold, and there was one person who did not, one mentee who did not, for example. And then this one here is actually kind of that catch-all if there's other youth. So number of mentees who permanently left the NPAL mentoring program during this reporting period. So since July 1st. So they left between July 1st and the end of this year, December 31st of 2019, before completing 32 hours of mentoring and are not planning to return. So this is someone who's permanently left, maybe they moved away, whatever, that would be included in this response. For many folks, there's not going to be, your answer would simply be 0 here. But there are those folks that maybe were attending after July 1st, maybe up through September, for example, and then stopped and no longer participated in the program and also did not meet that 32-hour mark. These next few questions have to do with the number of mentees who've been participating in your program for at least 8 months or less than 8 months. So this one, number of mentees who have been participating in the NPAL mentoring program for more than 8 months. This is the folks that have been really regularly attending your program for pretty consistently for quite some time. If folks missed, 2 to 3 sessions along the way, they were sick or what have you, you can certainly still include them in this response. So just as an example, I am going to put 15 here. So I'm just going to pause for a second here and recall some of my former responses. So if you remember up towards the top here, when I answered the number of mentees enrolled at the beginning of the reporting period, I put 10 only and 15 added since July 1st. So this would mean that in this example, this number must be incorrect because I indicated that I only actually had 10 youth recruited and participating at the start of the program period back in July. And since obviously that was less than 8 months ago, this number of 15 is actually not possible. So it would actually be 10 at the very max. The next question being the number of mentees who've been participating in your NPAL mentoring program for fewer than 8 months. And this has to be equal or greater to than the number that you recruited during this reporting period, so since July 1st of this year. So for me, I'm going to put 15 here. So these next few questions have to do with the average hours per month that your mentees were participating in the program during this reporting period. So again, since July 1st of this year. The first being the number of mentees who participated in mentoring sessions for at least 4 hours per month on average during this reporting period. So that's, more or less 1 hour per week. If some of your youth, again, missed a few sessions here or there, that's totally fine. You can still count them in this number so long as they were attending quite frequently and consistently. So for my example, I'm going to put 22 youth who were consistently attending program sessions. The next question is about those youth that averaged less than 4 hours per month on average during this reporting period, but were still obviously attending your program. So that would be folks that missed pretty large swaths of your program and maybe just on average didn't quite reach that 4 hours per month. So for me, I'm going to put 3 here. These next set of questions have to do with victimization, so serving youth that have experienced some kind of victimization. This is a sort of new thing that OJJDP is requiring that data be collected on for programs that they fund. So number of mentees who experience violent victimization during the reporting period. nonviolent victimization, folks who identified as being a sex trafficking victim, and then number of new mentees who identified as a sex trafficking victim during the reporting period, a number of mentees who identified as a labor trafficking victim, and new mentees who identified as a labor trafficking victim, and then both labor and sex trafficking victim, and then new mentees who identify as both of those things. The next set of questions has to do with your mentors that are in your particular program. So this first one being the number of mentors carried over from the previous reporting period. So this is essentially any mentor that participated in your program after July 1st, but first got their start in your program before July 1st. So as an example, I'm just going to put 5 here. Next question being, from the above question, the number of mentors who have undergone training. This should be all of your mentors. All of your mentors should go through training if they're going to be involved in the program. So I'm going to put 5 here. The next question is just the new mentors who were recruited during this reporting period. So they started after July 1st and got involved in your mentoring program. For me, I'm going to say just 2 maybe. And then similar to above, the number of the above question who have successfully completed training during this reporting period. So again, this is of this number here. Again, ideally it should be all of them. So I'm going to put 2 here, for example. This next question is total number of trained program mentors demonstrating an increased knowledge in the program during the reporting period. Ideally, this should be all of your trained mentors, both if they were new for the reporting period, as well as if they were carried over. But it really can't exceed that number. So my total is 5 and 2, so 7. Again, ideally, all 7 will have demonstrated an increased knowledge of the program, but that might not be the case. But again, it can't exceed that number. So this could never be 8 or 9 or anything like that. But ideally should be the total number. So I'm going to put 7, saying all my mentors demonstrated an increased knowledge in the program during the reporting period. The next question is the number of mentors who have prematurely left the program during this reporting period. So anytime between July 1st through the end of the year, without kind of completing all of their requirements or sort of their expectations as a mentor. So really anyone who dropped out during the reporting period. For my example, I'm going to say that no mentor did that. That might not be the case for your program. So I'm going to answer 0 here. And this last question about mentors here is just have all of your mentors completed a criminal background check. Ideally, this should be yes, as it is a requirement outlined in your LOA. If you do answer no to this, we'll probably follow up with you and just get some more information. But ideally, all of your mentors will have undergone a criminal background check. These next few questions are more qualitative, so you get a chance to kind of explain a little bit more about your program. This first one being any accomplishments that you accomplished over this reporting period. So maybe you exceeded your mentor-mentee ratios. Maybe you did a really awesome community service project. All those things you can articulate in this particular box here. Next one, talking a little bit about your family engagement and your match closure, your program closure activities that you maybe did to wind down or celebrate the end of another successful program year. Next one, any challenges that you faced during this reporting period and how First Pick or National PAL might be able to assist in those particular challenges. This one being whether or not you're on track to complete the program as it is outlined in your letter of award or your LOA. If you do answer no to this particular question, we want just a few sentences on why that might be the case. What major activities do you have planned for the next reporting period? I know most folks will have completed their program, so you might not have an extensive answer for this particular question. Based on your knowledge of youth mentoring and after-school programming, are there any innovative program accomplishments that you would like to share with National PAL or First Pick? So anything innovative that you did with your mentoring program that you might want to share with us that we could maybe pass along to the funder, to OJJDP, certainly include that here and just kind of be detailed so that we have a full understanding of what you mean. And then this last part here is just please email your attendance tracking sheets for the period. So again, starting on July 1st of 2019 through the end of the program year or the calendar year of December 31st. You can email that to someone here on our team at First Pick. Her name's Carrie, and her email is provided right here. Just make sure that you include your subgrant name and tracking sheet in the subject line. So for example, First Pick PAL 2019 mentoring tracking sheets. So you would just put your organization name here and then make sure that you mention tracking sheets and email that over. I highly, highly recommend that you just do that and get that out of the way right now. Then you can check this box and hit submit, and you should be all set for this program report. If you do submit and you think back and you said, oh no, I think I might have answered something incorrectly, simply reach out to David or myself at First Pick or Angie Caffey at National PAL, and we can make sure that we get your responses edited. Again, I urge everyone to complete this report as soon as possible, since we will need to report all this information to the funder, OJJDP, as soon as possible. And thank you so much.